All right, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So yeah, let's jump to our lesson. We'll look at the quote to start with. It'll lead us nicely into the lesson. But today, lesson 96, we're on to. It's all about my true self and awakening through that self, which is what we've just discussed. So I'm just going to share my screen. All right, so if you can read that headline quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was one of the leaders of the transcendentalism movement in the US in the early 90s. Really, this is where the so-called New Age started. It's not just the 20th century; it started back then. This kind of thinking was emerging in the West. And he was one of the sort of leaders of that, thought leaders as they call them. So you want to read that?
Yeah. No, excuse me. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Yes, wow.
Quite a profound quote, isn't it? To be yourself, and you could actually say capital self, your, and then split that.
Yeah, whereas we're conditioned.
Language, to be your capital self.
Yeah, very much. That is the most difficult one. To be your true self.
In a world that's constantly trying to make you something else.
Yes.
So it's triggering you to be a separate self, to get angry, to be upset, to be reactive, is the greatest accomplishment, which is called enlightenment. It's just phrased in a really, succinct way, which is what great insight does. Just, okay, actually, that's the greatest accomplishment. To be who you really are. And how does that work? That means you don't react to whatever is the world is trying to make you think and feel, trying to make you into someone else. And your only job is to hold to your true self. That means don't react negatively in any situation. That's where the rubber meets the road. So he's really highlighting the central problem, the one problem we've talked about with everyone's life and with modern society, as well as the miraculous opportunity this presents each person faced with this problem to transcend it. The problem is this belief in a false self-concept on which our whole society is based. Right? That I'm an individual person with my own unique identity, personality, life situation, expectations, and related problems and grievances that are an integral part of what I call my life. That's the problem. I believe all of that is true. And then I have this fundamental perceptual problem that I'm a separate self interacting with other people and circumstances and experiences in this world. And I react as though I'm a separate self. That's the fundamental perceptual problem that David Hoffmeister talks about in this bonus video, which we talked about. So it's a great reminder. He's saying you only have one problem, but you have to acknowledge that problem. The only way out of that problem is to acknowledge that I have a fundamental perceptual problem because I believe that I'm a separate person perceiving all this stuff outside of me and I'm reacting accordingly. That's my problem. If I don't acknowledge that, then there's no way of correcting it, is there? So the solution that most human beings to this fundamental perceptual problem that most human beings suffer from is remembering their true self, who you really are, allowing this self to guide you in every situation that you experience, which, as today's workbook lesson emphasizes, is your salvation, freedom, or awakening. So this one self is the answer to the perceptual problem. And you activate that one self by letting go of any negative thoughts and emotions that cover it over, which the ego is going to tempt you to believe in. Okay, so that brings us to our live session and nicely into the lesson. So let's have a look at lesson 96, today's lesson. Where I want this one. Okay, there we go. So if you can read the lesson in the original alternative form.
Yeah. Salvation. Yeah. Salvation comes from my one self. Freedom comes from my one self. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talk about awakening, or I translated it as freedom in this case, because that's what awakening means. Freedom, the freedom to be who you really are, the freedom to be peaceful and happy and joyful. That's what freedom means. Salvation means the same thing, but not often people get, again, with the Christian language, have all kinds of other ideas about what that means. It's freedom in this world means I'm happy and peaceful and loving and joyful moment by moment, and ultimately I transcend this world. Salvation means that I awaken from the dream of being human and return to pure forms of awareness of perfect love, which is ultimate freedom beyond time and space, and this becomes my last lifetime. If I truly accept salvation, then that I get off the wheel of birth and death, escape that cycle, and return my mind. But very practically speaking, moment by moment, I can choose freedom, or I can choose the bondage of the ego. So that's where the rubber meets the road of this. It's like moment by moment, I can choose that. So, and then the ultimate freedom from the bondage of time and space and awakening will take care of itself if I can do that moment by moment. Okay, so you can read this in the not much to translate there. So this is alternative, which is just personalized in the first person.
Yeah. Although I am one self, I experience myself as two, as both good and evil, loving and hating, mind and body. This sense of being split into opposites induces feelings of acute and constant conflict within me, and leads to my frantic attempts to reconcile these contradictory aspects of my self-perception. I have tried to find many solutions to this inner conflict, but none of them has worked. The opposites I perceive within myself and will never be compatible, but only one really exists. Let's just say that there's actually just a one self, the true self, but we're experiencing two selves, which is this duality of, good and evil, loving, hating, mind and body. So, but being in this split induces, conflict and leads to frantic attempts to reconcile and fix this self-perception. So
and that's the source of all our conflict. That's not outside of us. The problem's not in the world. The problem is in our own minds. We have a split mind. We have two selves which contradict each other.
Yeah.
That's the only problem. That's the fundamental problem that every human being has, which
Yes.
leads to the solution. The one problem is that I have a false identification in my mind, and the solution is let go of that identification. Pretty simple, conceptually speaking, but to do it moment by moment, and as Ralph Waldo Emerson, in a world is trying to make you into the false self, to identify with the false self continuously, to hold to the true self in the face of that temptation is the greatest accomplishment. That's what we're here to do. That's to identify with our oneself. Okay? So, okay, just reading the alternative. It's not really anything to translate except to personalize and put it in first person terms.
I must accept the fact that truth and illusion cannot be reconciled, no matter how hard I try. What means I use or where I perceive the problem, until I fully accept this truth, I will continue to chase an endless list of unattainable goals in a senseless cycle of wasted time and effort, alternating between hopefulness and doubt, only to realize that each attempt I make is as futile as the one before it, inevitably ending in failure, as the next one surely will. Yeah. Yeah, so while we're in this illusion, which
that's
is going
quite
to be
sobering, isn't it? You're like, well, yeah, if I'm honest about my life, what have I tried to do? Chase an endless list of unattainable goals in a senseless cycle of wasted time and effort, alternating between hopefulness and doubt. Sometimes I think, oh, this is going to work, and then it doesn't, and then I doubt again, and then I try and look for something else, only to realize eventually spiritual awakening is complete disillusionment with that whole cycle. So that's not going to work. Every attempt I make in the ego, with the ego as my guide, is as futile as the one before it, which will inevitably fail, as everyone will. And when you really understand that, you're completely disillusioned with the ego's thought system, which is needed if you're going to let it go. You see that? So disillusion must precede enlightenment. You have to let all this go in order to open to the only solution there really is. Because if you still think that there's a way to do it through the ego, then you'll continue pursuing that, and you'll continue to fail and experience disappointment and despair. So again and again, I mean, he tells us this how many times, over and over in this course, that you can't reconcile these. I must accept the fact that truth and illusion cannot be reconciled. No matter how hard I try, what means I use or where I perceive the problem. You will never accomplish it because it's not possible. It's like the impossible problem that we're trying to solve somehow in this world. And we keep coming back trying to solve that problem. Reincarnation is just a stubborn refusal to accept this simple truth that he's stating here. If we accepted it, why would you come back? You wouldn't. You go, there's no point because I can't solve the problem. It's a meaningless problem. But reincarnation is a stubborn refusal to accept what he's saying in this paragraph. It's so simple and so direct what he's teaching. We just have to accept it.
Yeah.
And see, very clearly what we've been trying to do our whole lives.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes a lot of honesty, and it's not always comfortable to go, okay, yeah, I get it, I see, and wow, haven't I just been so stupid? But the I that was being stupid is not my real self. That was the false self that I identified with, which is, of course, stupid because it's denied who you are. It can be nothing other than stupid. That. What insane, stupid entity would want to come into a world with no hope, to seek and never find the answer, to suffer and age and die repeatedly. I mean, that's just infinitely stupid to do, to think that that's going to work.
Yeah.
So it kind of just saying to us, wake up, come on, like just get real here. Wake up and see the truth of what's really going on here, because that's the only way you'll ever awaken. If you don't see this and you don't accept what I'm saying, then you'll continue to believe in the ego and carry on chasing an endless list of unattainable goals in a senseless cycle of wasted time and effort, and alternate between hopefulness and doubt, but only to realize sooner or later that each attempt is futile. And this will lead you to a place of despair, because it doesn't matter what you try, it's never going to work. I think we've all experienced that in this world. So I try and make it work, but it's like putting a square peg in a round hole, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't go. It doesn't work.
It's just one thing
I think
after
we've all
another.
had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter
Just,
what I try,
yeah.
it doesn't seem to work. I can't make this equation of my life balance. I can't make it work. And the ego says, well, okay, that strategy didn't work, but try another one. This could work.
It's
And we
just
keep
never ending. Yeah.
doing that for a while. I mean, generally, the first part of our lives are dedicated to that search. Okay, well, I'll seek there. Okay, that hasn't worked, but I'll try something else. And we go through the whole range of solutions that the ego proposes. That might be a special relationship, that might be substances, that might be money, getting a better job, status, work, social, friends, family, all of this. We try and balance the equation of our lives and make it work. But until we've accepted that it doesn't work, and that the only thing that's ever going to work is our true self, and being in our right mind, staying in that awareness, then we'll continue to this, which is why he tells us this over and over. It's not the first time he's told us, but he's making it ever so explicit in this lesson. Yeah, very, very clear. You can't reconcile truth and illusion, which is what many pastors try and get you to do. I remember going to a church once, and his pastor was giving a lecture on the ego. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And he had a PowerPoint, and I listened, and then kind of about halfway through, I was like, no, he's got it wrong, because he was saying God sits above the ego, and as long as God is in charge of the ego, then that's okay. You can kind of subordinate the ego to God, like some kind of hierarchical structure. That was the teaching. I was like, no, you can't, because the ego is always in complete opposition to God. So there's no agreement. The one can't subordinate to the other because they completely disagree. So that's nonsense. But if he'd said that, then he might have lost half his congregation. I don't like his message, so I go to another church. This is the problem, because it's not an easy message to accept. No, you've actually got to let go of everything that you believe is you. Your separate self and all of your identifications. In that community, it was aspirational. It's like people want money and they want status and they want success, and also say, oh, it's okay, you can have all that as long as you give it to God. But actually, you can't. You've got to let that all go. It should happen. Then it's happened because the Holy Spirit's guided you, and that's kind of incidental consequence of your awakening. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but you shouldn't set it as a goal. All right, so let's carry on. Problems that have no meaning cannot be resolved within the framework I have set.
Problems that have no meaning cannot be resolved within the framework I have set. As I find myself in conflict with two selves, I realize that the good and evil have no meeting place within me. The self I made can never be my true self, and I cannot split myself in two and still remain as what I am and must forever be. It is impossible for a mind and body to coexist. I will not attempt to reconcile these two apparent aspects of myself, as acknowledging one denies the reality of the other. By identifying myself as physical, my mind has gone from self-concept, since it has no real place within me. On the other hand, if I recognize myself as pure formless awareness, then my body becomes meaningless to my reality.
Okay, what's he saying in that one?
Well, it's saying about problems that have no meaning, so it can't be resolved in the framework we have set. So we find ourselves in conflict with these two selves. The flip-flopping, which is what I do a lot.
Yeah.
And then
The vacillations, because
yeah,
they're two selves, and we vacillate between them.
yeah, yeah. So it's quite a good one, this one. So it's just saying it's impossible for a mind and a body to coexist. But I thought mind and body were pretty much interconnected.
Well, that's the illusion, see? This is where the Course departs from most other spiritual teachings. Because many teachings say, well, it's body, mind, and spirit. And you kind of have to balance that equation somehow, yeah? I'm the body, but I'm also the mind, and I'm also the spirit, and all of it's real. And I've somehow got to kind of reconcile these contradictory aspects of myself. Yeshua's saying, no, you're never going to. If you're a body, then your mind is gone from your self-concept. Then you become physical, and then you're governed by the physical laws that you've set up. So you can't be eternal mind, spirit, pure formless awareness of perfect love, and body. It's not possible because they contradict each other. This is what he's telling us. So you've got to choose. Do you want to be a body, in which case the laws of this world and the laws of death govern you? Very bad choice. Or do you want to be spirit, pure formless awareness in our language, that is eternal, that cannot die, is not governed by any of those laws? And you can't reconcile those choices. They're opposite. As he says, on the other hand, if I recognize myself as spirit, pure formless awareness, pure spirit, which is pure formless awareness, then my body becomes meaningless to my reality. If I'm pure formless awareness, by definition, in pure formless awareness, there can be no form. There is no body. There is no form in pure formless awareness, by definition. Which is why, again, the language is helpful. Self-evidently, pure formless awareness cannot contain form. Otherwise, it wouldn't be pure formless awareness. It becomes self-evident from the language, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then the kinds of ridiculous denials that happen, even from seemingly quite advanced spiritual teachers and initiates, it just can't happen if you have this language. Like, how can you have form in pure formless awareness? There's an evident contradiction there. So you can't then go, oh, well, the body and form is somehow as real as formless awareness, because there's clearly a contradiction. You have to choose. So it can't be an alternate school of non-duality. No, it's duality then. I told you about the ridiculous conversation about. No, I'm from the alternate school of non-duality, which believes in duality. It's ridiculous when you look at it that way, isn't it? This is crazy. No, and it's dualistic. You're not in non-duality anymore. You're now in duality, clearly, because you've split your mind again, and you're trying to justify it and make the duality somehow work. Make both these contradictory aspects of yourself, these two selves and these two thought systems, somehow reconcile. That's exactly what he was trying to do, and it's not possible. Yeshua's saying it, you'll never accomplish that. So no accident that he started studying the Course, but then stopped, because it's like, the course no longer suited, that attempt. Like, if you're going to try and do that, then don't study the course, because it's going to tell you that that's not possible and to give it up. So then people go, okay, well, that teaching must be wrong. I'll find another teaching, the alternative school of non-duality, which someone's created because they don't want to accept the pure, simple truth of, non-duality, which can't have any alternatives. It simply is. Okay, so happy with that one. Should we go to number 4? Spirit makes use of mind. I think read this one, just read this one in the original alternative, so we can see that translation of spirit. And use spirit quite a lot here. Spirit becomes pure form.
Spirit makes use of mind as means to find its self-expression. As pure formless awareness, I use my awareness to express my true self. And the mind which serves the spirit is at peace and filled with joy. Awareness that serves pure formless awareness is at peace and filled with joy. Its power comes from spirit, and it is fulfilling happily its function here. Its power animates from pure formless awareness, and it is joyfully fulfills its function here. Yet mind can also see itself divorced from spirit and perceive itself within a body it confuses with itself. However, my awareness can also perceive itself divorced from pure formless awareness and mistakenly identify itself with a body. Without its function, then it has no peace, and happiness is alien to its thoughts. Without fulfilling its function, it lacks peace, and happiness is banished from its thoughts. From the top?
From the top?
Pure formless awareness makes use of my awareness to express my true self. Awareness that serves pure formless awareness is at peace and filled with joy. Its power emanates from pure formless awareness, and it joyfully fills its function here. However, my awareness can also perceive itself divorced from pure formless awareness and mistakenly identify itself with a body. Without fulfilling its function, it lacks peace, and happiness is banished from its thoughts. It's just saying the pure formless awareness makes use of our awareness to express our true self. It makes use of our awareness, yes.
So let's just show you in this diagram. It shows you diagrammatically, actually. Might be helpful. Where we are, let's just go. In the Holy Trinity diagram, it's part of the course manual. This is shown quite nicely, so I just want to show you that. Holy Trinity. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so go. Where are we? Holy Trinity. Oh, yeah. No, Holy Trinity is that one. So this pure formless awareness is ultimate reality. That's what Ken Wapnick would call level 1, ultimate truth. And that is the source of your true self. So the true self, or the Christ, or the Son of God, or the extension of this awareness, as we call it, is extended from this awareness. So the foundation of the true self is pure formless awareness, but the true self can perceive. So it's kind of this intermediate level that allows us to still function in the world with a self that can perceive and then make decisions and then act. But now it's guided by the underlying pure formless awareness rather than the underlying belief in separation. And so we become the channel. The true self becomes the channel for pure formless awareness to come in to us and express itself through us in the world, which is what he's saying in the sentence. And then this self, it reinterprets all the experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space for us, and guides our thoughts, words, and actions in this domain. And that's what it means to be Christ conscious or Christ aware, and to have surrendered to God means to be completely identified with this true self and the awareness that underlies it, while still being able to perceive and function correctly, right-mindedly in this world. And that's what the entire mind training course is about, is to help you to identify with the true self and then perceive the world correctly as a result. Okay. But your awareness can also perceive itself divorced. So when you cut yourself off from this and you believe you're a separate self, the separate self only sees the red box. It says you are this person in this world with all these people and things and places and events and circumstances and situations and traumas and successes and failures and everything else that goes to make up your experience of your so-called life in this physical world. And this is what you are. And that's all you are. And these experiences are all real. And therefore, your reactions to these experiences are justified because they're real. And so your separate self is very real. And this within this construct, you'll never find happiness. This is what Yeshua's teaching us. And every spiritual master said, you'll never find happiness in the red box. You have to transcend the red box and go into the true self and connect with your true awareness, pure formless awareness, in order to find any kind of happiness and peace in while you're still seemingly functioning in the red box. Does that make sense, man?
Yes, it does.
So that's the Holy Trinity in a nutshell. And again, that's a concept that even quite advanced theologians in history haven't really understood. It's an operating system for your mind and your life that's designed to help you to transcend your ego and return to pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is the only reality ultimately. But temporarily, while we're here, the idea of the true self and the Holy Spirit, which corrects your perceptions, is very helpful. In fact, you need those two ideas in order to awaken and return back to God, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love. Otherwise, how do you get back? There would be no bridge, no return journey back. And that's what the course is designed to teach us, how to identify with our true self and to perceive correctly. That's what the miracle is, a course in miracles. So it's primarily 99% of the course is dedicated to this, the movement from the red box into the true self. And then he says, you know, the only comment he makes about this is to say, well, when you're ready, God will take the final step. In other words, you just surrender, merge back into pure fullness of perfect love when you're ready. But in the meantime, you can do all this work to identify with the true self and correct your perceptions. And that's then what you should focus on. So the only thing that you need to do to awaken ultimately to pure formless awareness of perfect love is to let go of any misperceptions, i.e. any negative thoughts and emotions that seem to arise. That's all you've got to do, because that identifies you with the true self. And if you do that, you're identifying with pure formless awareness of perfect love. And eventually that will take you back fully into that state. You just have to focus on the one thing that you need to do, which is to let go or forgive whatever seems to be triggering you in this red box of time and space. Okay. So let's move on to number 5 then. Yet mind apart from spirit cannot think.
Shall I do alternative or?
Just the first sentence and alternative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yet mind apart.
In the original and the alternative.
Yeah. Yet mind apart from spirit cannot think. Yet awareness, apart from pure formless awareness, is incapable of thinking. Right. It has denied its source of strength and perceives itself as helpless, limited, and weak. Disconnected from its true function, it believes itself to be alone and separate, under attack from external forces, and relying on the frail support of the body. Now it attempts to reconcile the unlike and the like, as this is what it believes its purpose is. So it's saying this awareness, apart from pure formless awareness, can't really think because it's denied its source and strength. So it sees itself as helpless, limited, and weak, disconnected from its source, alone and separate. So it does attempt to reconcile the unlike with the like, as this is what it believes its purpose is. So it's relying on its frail support of the body, which is, not possible.
Yeah. There's no strength in the body. Clearly the body's going to fail you. So any attempt to try and strengthen the body and make it real and important is futile, because it's going to fail you. It's going to age, it's going to get sick, it's going to die eventually. Everybody dies. We sort of know that. It's a kind of bizarre situation we're in. We know that conceptually everyone's going to die.
But yeah, we don't. Yeah.
And yet somehow we ignore that. We get on with life and we forget that. And then, this death reality keeps intruding. Oh, someone else died. You say kitten died. This death permeates the dream. It's happening all the time. Someone's dying right now, and another person died in the next second, and people are dying all the time. And yet we don't think of that when we're, living. But like, this is inevitable. The body's going to die. So why am I putting so much attention on my body when it's clearly going to fail me? Sooner or later, we're all going to die. I mean, this is ridiculous when you see it that way. Well, why do I believe I'm a body then? And try and reconcile the like with the unlike. My mind, which is pure formless awareness, spirit is pure formless awareness. How can that reconcile with form, the body? How can that ever work? And so, the ego believes this is what its purpose is, but it'll never achieve that purpose because it's not possible. So it's an impossible idea, and it's just addicted to the quest to try and make the impossible work. And it'll never work. So Yes was just saying, give it up. The impossible dream, the impossible idea is not possible, and all you've got to do is accept that. I'm going to take you quickly to one of the exercises we did in the Art of Letting Go course. So you can see those two boxes.
Oh, yes.
So look at the right box, right? That's the impossible cube. And you look at it and you can see that it's impossible, but somehow your mind wants to try and make that work. If you notice, you can kind of look at that and go, well, hang on, let me look at it again. Can I actually figure this out and make it work? And you could spend ages doing that, trying to make it work and looking at it from different perspectives. Or you could just go, it doesn't work. I see that fundamentally it's impossible, that it doesn't work. And so the entire thing needs to be discarded or erased. Whichever way I look at it. You can, again, look at it coming out of the page, or you can look at it from the top-down perspective, coming this way out of the page, as though you're looking down. It doesn't matter. It's impossible. Whichever way you look at it, it's not going to work. You see that?
Yeah.
And so, this is what he's teaching us with the ego, saying the thought system just doesn't work. So let it go. If you look at it coming out this way, then that line is in the wrong place. And if you look at it going into the page, then this one is in the, it's like it's in front of where it should be. It doesn't work. So the structure can't sustain. It's an impossible structure. And trying to make it work is just futile, which is what he's really teaching us. So stop doing that. See the impossibility for what it is, and stop that futile attempt. Yeah. And then he carries on in the same vein. Number 6, I will no longer waste time on this futile endeavor.
Shall I read that?
Yeah, please, in the alternative.
I will no longer waste time on this futile endeavor. Who can resolve the senseless conflicts presented by a dream? What would such a resolution truly mean? What purpose would it serve? What is it even for? Awakening cannot make illusions real or solve a problem that does not actually exist. Perhaps I have a lingering hope that it can, but do I really want perfect love's plan for the release of its dear extension to bring me pain and fail to set me free? It's just asking us just to stop wasting time on this futile endeavor, which it can resolve these senseless conflicts presented by a dream. So what does this truly mean? So what does it serve? In fact, what is it even for? So they're saying awakening cannot make illusions real or solve a problem because it doesn't actually exist. But we have this lingering hope in the back of our minds that it does. But we truly want the perfect love's plan now.
And most so-called spiritual teachings are trying to somehow make this world work for people. You know, if you just do this and you do this and you follow this way or this practice, or then your life's all going to be hunky-dory and it's going to work. And this teaching is saying, no, 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 it's never going to work. So let's just get clear on that from the outset. You never make the world work, so you need to start giving it up. That's a process. You don't just give it up overnight generally, but okay, you need to start the process of giving it up, not trying to find other ways to make it work, which is what the ego's been trying to help you do for your entire life and every lifetime you've been here. So then you stop seeking outside of yourself for an answer, and you go within and you look where the only answer is, which is in your own mind, and you find the spirit or pure formless awareness there, and you find the answer there, and that's the only place you will ever find the answer, within you. And you stop this futile quest to try and find the answer outside of yourself. I'm saying perhaps you still have a lingering hope that you can find the answer somewhere outside of yourself. But surely, like, given you've been here 60 odd years, surely you can see by now that you can't. It hasn't worked in 60 odd years.
It's not going to.
It's not going to ever work. Oh,
no.
You know, the sooner we can recognize that, the sooner we really start our spiritual awakening. Because as long as you want to believe that there's a solution in the world, then you block the only solution there really is, which is in your own mind.
There's those pensioners like there when I went for whatever, there was a couple probably in the, say, early 70s, I guess, retired and having the good life and cruising, coming to Tenerife when it's nice and warm, having nice meals. But I did feel as though there was something empty about them. So even though they're in the world of form, they've sort of maybe done okay in the material way, but I just felt as though there was, an emptiness. I couldn't describe it. Even though they've got the best life ever. I mean, I said, oh, I'm going to Jersey, then, oh, we go there a lot. And then we're going on a cruise. We love Norway. You know, you could see that their lifestyle as a couple of pensioners now was, you know, in the world of form, but yet funny, I just was looking at them and just thought, it wasn't, an emptiness.
There's the lack
Yeah.
of depth.
Yeah.
Because what they need to do is make this world work. And they're going, okay, well, happy days, we retired, we don't have any responsibilities, we've got some money. Hey, let's go cruising the world. Let's go on holidays, let's eat, drink, and be
Fine
merry.
dining.
And
Fine dining.
yeah, all of that. And so that will give us, satisfaction. That's what's going to make us happy in this world. And
But
most
yet,
people would go, yeah, that sounds great. Well, if I just had that, then I'd be really happy.
yeah,
But as you said, there's something missing. It's like, well,
yes, I could see
it's
that.
all temporary. That's very, very short-lived. It's not going to last forever because they are going to get older. And at some point, they're not going to be able, and their bodies are going to age and die. And that kind of lifestyle, they, eating and drinking the wrong kinds of foods will precipitate that. And so it's a fool's paradise. It's very short-lived. And then, they're going to die. And if they have no idea of who they are, and they still think they're a separate self in a body, then they're going to come back and they're going to, they do it all over again, and they'll try the same strategy in their next life. That's not to say that you can't go on holiday and have nice experiences, but you don't make that your primary satisfaction in the world. You go, oh no, I'm getting my happiness and my satisfaction from my next or from my next meal, because it's all very temporary. That's that's building your house on the foundation of sand rather than on the rock. No, you say my only job here is to let go of negative thoughts and emotions as they arise. And if I happen to be going on a cruise as part of that assignment, then so be it. But I'm not going to seek out, pleasure anywhere other than right here, right now. It's not something I need anymore. And so often then their lifestyle would change. If you're not seeking it, you're like, well, what does it mean? I mean, give you an example of Deborah. She had a life where she was living the dream. Apparently, she had lots of money, an online business, literally, laptop lifestyle. Go cruise the Med on a yacht, log in, do a bit of work, and then carry on cruising around the Med. I mean, she had it. She did it, and she gave it up because she was like, it doesn't satisfy me. There's something very empty about it. It's not deeply fulfilling on a soul spiritual level, and it's meaningless. What does another holiday mean? Yeah, we could go on holidays as often as we wanted, but what was the point? It was spiritually empty, and so she let it go. And then another part of her journey started, which has had a lot of challenges, but yet there's growth. In the challenges you grow. In that kind of lifestyle. I mean, that's the dream you see on the internet. Oh, well, I'm going to show you how to live the laptop lifestyle. You have plenty of money, you'll cruise wherever you go. And they go, this is the answer. And yet it's not, because, she's had it and done it. And didn't satisfy. So we can learn a lot from, you don't necessarily have to experience that yourself, but you can learn from other people's experiences, celebrities, and people who've had the best that the ego can offer, and yet still there's something fundamental missing. And that's what he's saying. You'll never find it in form, because it only exists in your own mind as pure, formless awareness. That's why the wording is so important. So that formless awareness that has no form, that tells you very clearly what it is and what it's not. It is not form because it has to be pure formless awareness. If there's any form involved, then it's not pure formless awareness by definition. So the name of God is important. The pure formless awareness of perfect love keeps you aligned with that state of awareness. Makes it much more explicit, doesn't it? And that's why the language is helpful. Okay, speaking of which, let's go to the next one, number 7, and that's got a bit of translation to do. So if you can read it in the original and the alternative, sentence by sentence.
Yourself retains its thoughts, and they remain within your mind and in the mind of God. Myself retains its thoughts, and they remain with my awareness and in the pure formless awareness of perfect love. The Holy Spirit holds salvation in your mind and offers it the way to peace. The remembrance of perfect love holds freedom in my awareness and offers it the path to peace. Salvation is a thought you share with God because His voice accepted it for you and answered in your name that it was done. Awakening to freedom is a thought I share with the pure formless awareness of perfect love because its voice accepted it on my behalf and responded in my name so that it was accomplished. Thus is salvation kept along the thoughts you set yourself holds dear and cherishes for you. Therefore, awakening is preserved among the thoughts that myself values and cherishes for me. On the top, myself retains its thoughts and they remain within my awareness and in the pure formless awareness of perfect love. The remembrance of perfect love holds freedom in my awareness and offers it the path to peace. Awakening to freedom is a thought I share with pure formless awareness of perfect love because its voice accepted it on my behalf and responded in my true self so that it was accomplished. Therefore, awakening is preserved among the thoughts that myself values and cherishes for me. So it's just saying that the true self, our true self, retains its thoughts and they remain in our awareness from the pure formless awareness of perfect love. So this remembrance of perfect love holds the freedom in our awareness and then offers it the path to peace.
Yeah, freedom is peace, is awakening. It's all just, it's the same, just pointers to the same thing. And so no matter how much the egos try to deny that freedom, it's still there. It's preserved among the capital thoughts. So these capital thoughts are thoughts that are directly inspired by pure formless awareness of perfect love. So a thought of freedom, again, capitalized, ultimate, love, peace, joy, moment by moment in this world, and ultimate release into pure formless awareness of perfect love is a thought that is still there in our true mind, in our true awareness, that my true self values and cherishes for me. So it's actually, this is all you really want, and all you really need is this awareness, which is freedom, which is love, which is peace, which is joy. These are all just pointers to a state of mind that is beyond words, that is actually ineffable, meaning indescribable. You can't really describe it with words. The words just kind of point you to it. Need them while we, learning it to point us to it. If we didn't have words for it, then how would we describe it? But the experience itself is way beyond the words. And so that leads us into the practice, really. Today I will try to find this thought of freedom, whose presence in my mind is guaranteed by the one that speaks to me from my oneself. And we're going to search for it in our mind as, in spiritual practice. That's what the meditations are really about, is to help us to experience this. So we go beyond concepts into actual experience of these thoughts, these states of mind. And it says awakening comes from this oneself through the remembrance of oneness, which serves as the bridge between my awareness, so my seemingly separated awareness and itself. We look at that just diagrammatically. Let's go back to where we were. This is what it looks like. It's to bridge the gap, take us from being rooted in a separate self and all its problems and desires and expectations and everything that time and space, life and time and space involves. And it's to help us transcend that and go back into our true self. And the thoughts that come from that true self, thoughts of love and peace and joy and freedom, then become our corrected perceptions. As we perceive this world from this enlightened perspective, ultimately we see only love, peace, and joy. And we let go of everything else. Okay, so shall we practice that?
Yeah.
Just wait patiently, allow it to speak to me about myself and what my mind can do when restored to it and free, and it's free to follow its guidance. You when restored to it and free to follow its guidance. So it's really about just connecting with the self and experiencing it in the practice or the meditation, which is why we always practice on it. So really what he's given us in the mind training is, there's some lead-in theory, and he's teaching us to let go of the ego and choose only the spirit. And then he says, okay, to actually experience this, you need to meditate on it. And in this deeper altered state, try and experience some of what he's pointing to with words, go beyond the words. So that's why I guide you. So you don't have to listen, you don't have to read, you just close your eyes and you go through the process and you give yourself over to this experience and allow the experience to arise. Essentially give the Holy Spirit the opportunity, the time and the space in your life through this practice of meditation to give you an experience of your true self. Okay, so let's do it, shall we? Got 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
Do the med and close the session. So all right, so make yourself comfortable. Just sitting in your favorite meditation posture. Keep your back straight, feet shoulder width apart. Hands kind of cupped or facing upwards on your thighs. Close your eyes and start off with a nice deep breath in through the nose. So noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. You just squeeze the sphincter muscle, so that's muscle used to contract the flow of urine, or squeeze the last drops out. That locks the energy in. It's the root lock in yoga. Squeeze, feel this warm wave of energy rising up the chest, the spine, all the way up into the crown of your head, just pausing at the top. Maximum inhale breath. Now begin your practice by saying to yourself, salvation or freedom comes from my one self. Its thoughts are mine to use. And then seek its thoughts and claim them as your own. So anything that seems to be blocking these thoughts, that's capitalized thoughts, that's thought of freedom, love, peace, joy. These are the eternal thoughts that this word thoughts are referring to. But anything else, so worldly thoughts you're thinking about, matters of your life, problems, expectations, grievances, issues in time and space, anything in the past or the future is safely part of the illusion, then just recognize that freedom comes from my one self, and I will not find it in these illusions. So I'm willing to let it all go. To actualize that intention, just exhale, blowing it out, the breeze of your breath. a dark cloud or black smoke leaving you. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest. And still calm. Peaceful state. Find your own real thoughts that you've denied. Instead, let your mind go wandering in a world of dreams, searching for illusions to replace them. Say to yourself, here are my thoughts. They're only ones I truly have. Among them lies my awakening to freedom. Among them is my freedom. So I will find it there. Freedom is a state of pure formless awareness. There's no negative thoughts and emotions, no lacks, limitations, no blocks to this awareness. That's what freedom means. And if you succeed, thoughts that come to you will tell you that you are free. And help me rediscover the function that my separate self wanted to lose. And so my true self will welcome it. Say this aloud. Self as you breathe in. So my true self will welcome it and give it peace. Breathe in this happy, free state. There are no problems in this state. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just peace. So it says give it peace, freedom, peace, happiness, love, joy. They all point to the same fundamental state of awareness. The true self will welcome it and give it peace. So breathe this freedom and this peace into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. It's restored in strength. And you will once again flow out from pure formless awareness to the true awareness in all things. Extended by pure formless awareness. So my true awareness will bless all things. Confusion dispelled, will be restored. I have found my true self. So I'm not confused anymore. I just rest in my self, which is inspired by pure formless awareness, perfect love. I rest in God, stays in the way. I rest in this awareness. So myself knows that I cannot fail today. Perhaps my mind remains uncertain for a little while longer. But I will not be dismayed by this. The joy that my self experiences will be saved for me. Will become fully mine through complete awareness. And so give yourself over to this self. There's any thoughts that come up that are blocking this awareness, tell your mind that awakening comes from my one self. Awakening to freedom comes from my one self. And then rest in this awareness. Rest in God. Lesson one of the most powerful lessons in the entire workbook. Rest in this awareness, which is naturally open, empty, light awareness. Appreciate how much is given to you. How much is given to you to give. And so this awareness saying salvation or freedom comes from my one self. So it's thoughts or mind to use. And with that invitation, just rest in this awareness, deeper awareness for a few moments. Those moments extend into the eternal now moment. No sense of time or space, just resting in our true awareness, pure formless awareness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. else to think about. You just breathe, relax, be still, and rest. And this awareness for a couple minutes of deep, free, peaceful silence. So just gently coming back on this deep, peaceful awareness of yourself, your one self. And bring your awareness back into the body and lie that into the world over the count of 3. So 1, just breathe in. You notice as you do that, the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils and the chest and the stomach rise. A maximal inhale breath. Hold the breath briefly, muscle. Engage the root block if you like, and just notice all these subtle sensations as you do that in a very clear, present, aware way. Breathing in again, noticing any thoughts, any emotions, related body sensations going on. Anything that's negative, that disturbs your awareness, some minor grievance or irritations or things you need to pay attention to because they disturb your peace. They disturb your true awareness. So salvation or freedom comes from my one self, and its thoughts are mine to use. So these thoughts have no place. These unreal thoughts have no place in my mind. When I exhale, and I blow them out, when I let them go. It's going, gone. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining out, and just rest. Rest in God. A few moments in the gap between breaths, you can go into this exquisite gap in mind. So just notice that gap, anchor the freedom and the peace and the love and the joy that's all there into your awareness. The count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground, noticing what, as you breathe in, notice what you're smelling. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind, non-illusions, state of mind which only the truth is true. Anchor this truth in. You can use today's idea just to help you do that. If you find yourself slipping out of this awareness, remind yourself that my freedom comes from my oneself, and only its thoughts are mine to use. And practice the lesson using any of the short breath breaks that I send you to top you up. If you find yourself challenged, just spend a couple of minutes listening to one of those. Maybe you can do longer meditation, longer practice for the lesson one more time this evening. So it is said, so it is done. And it will keep you in this state of freedom, deeper peace and freedom. It's all you really want, all you really need. And so it is. And so now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes and just take a minute to look around, just noticing whatever's around you. Don't focus on anything in particular, just randomly, whatever object happens to be in your sight, look at that for a few seconds and move on to something else. And again, something else. And notice that your underlying awareness, which is coming now from your true self, is the same. It's very peaceful, it's very calm. There's no judgment, there's no reactivity. And you can close your eyes. Notice the same awareness when your eyes closed. Eyes are closed, or when you open your eyes again, look around, notice the same awareness. So you're teaching your mind that this awareness is always there, irrespective of what's going on the level of form and what your body's eyes or any of your other senses are perceiving. It's all the same awareness, which teaches you that you are one self. And this is where your freedom is. So say one more time. So freedom lies in my one self, and awakening to my one self, and only its thoughts are mine to use. Freedom comes from my one self, its thoughts are mine to use. And keep that intention in mind for the rest of the day. Use the breath breaks to help you practice it in shorter mini meditations to keep you in alignment with this true self and in a state of peace and flow. which is my wish for you. So thank you, Elaine. That brings us to the end of the meditation and of today's session.
Yeah, that's great.
So
Thank you. So yeah,
we'll
wishing
leave it there.
you,
Wishing you
wishing,
well. Hope you have a good trip.
yeah, you
And
too.
watch the group and the emails, because I'll
Oh,
message you
okay.
about any sessions. But
Yeah.
probably this weekend. It
Are you
happens,
going?
it'll be Tuesday next week, or
Okay.
probably Thursday. So yeah, well, I've
Right.
got 5 days, so it's been Monday, sorry, Saturday through to next week,
Anywhere nice? Are
Thursday
you
morning.
going?
So
Where you? Anywhere nice?
yeah, it's quite pleasant. It's a house sit, actually. It's a house sit in Leamington.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh well. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's just edge of the New Forest. There's some coast there,
Oh, it sounds
so
lovely.
yeah,
Yes.
lots of walking, beaches. So should
Should be nice.
should
Bit
be
like
nice. Yeah.
Jersey, similar to Jersey.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll see you next week sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. You too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, but there's a forest as well.
Oh, good.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, well, enjoy. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Rano. Namaste. Namaste.
All right. Namaste. Thank you, Elaine. So that's a wrap for today and for a few days to come. So thank you to Elaine for joining the session, as always, making a discussion possible rather than a monologue. If you enjoyed this and you'd like to join us in these discussions, then please do that by going to lifebuild.com and see that spelling of it in the background there. It's just the logo lifebuild added.com, and you can then sign up to join these live calls. You'll also get a daily Telegram message sent to your phone with the daily quote that you saw in the beginning, and some commentary on that, plus the lesson from A Course in Miracles, and one or two shorter recordings to help you practice the lesson. That's all free at lifebuild.com, and you'll also be notified daily whenever I go live. So in those messages, I tell you when the live sessions are happening, and you can join any one of them. So head over, sign up, and look forward to seeing you, hopefully on the inside, in one of these sessions soon. Namaste, which means my oneself. Well, just honors that same oneself in you. And wishing you much love, peace, and joy in that awareness of your true self.